Thanks, Sophie. Hello, I'm Jennifer Jones with the headlines in Wales. Murdered by his grandparents. Today, Ethan Ives Griffiths' aunt says he was failed by social services and calls for more regular checks on children who were on the Child Protection Register.
If and when they are refused, that they follow protocol, whether that be going to the police, escalating it for a welfare check.
Also in the programme tonight, a by-election for the Caerphilly Senedd constituency, which was held by the late Labour member Hefin David, will take place next month. Scandal head Bangor Cathedral considers making more than 2/3 of its staff redundant. We'll have the details.
This is really beautiful, Ben. Well done.
Her nickname is Madam Topsoil. We hear how Grace is using skills she learned in Africa to help struggling families in Flintshire. And the fans are out in Astana. We'll have the latest as Wales prepare for tomorrow's World Cup qualifier against Kazakhstan. Noswaith, good evening. The aunt of a toddler murdered by his grandparents says he was failed by social services, who she believes should have done more to check on his welfare. 2-year-old Ethan Ives Griffiths was murdered by Michael and Kerry Ives at their home in Flintshire while he was on the Child Protection Register. His mother, Shannon Ives, was convicted of causing or allowing his death and child cruelty. Their trial heard how social workers were not always able to gain entry to the home to check on Ethan. Well, now his aunt, Becky Shone, has launched a petition in Ethan's name calling for social workers to automatically alert police if they can't see the children themselves. She's been speaking to our reporter, Brendan Williams.
Ethan!
A happy, healthy boy. But after just 7 weeks of living with his grandparents, Ethan Ives Griffiths was left severely malnourished, dehydrated and died after suffering a massive brain injury in August 2021. On the Child Protection Register, Ethan should have been checked by a social worker every 10 working days. He wasn't. Social workers and health visitors did try, but weren't always able to gain access to the toddler. His aunt wants tougher protocols to force social workers to escalate cases to police where access can't be gained.
I want there to be more regular checks on children that are on the protection register. And if and when they are refused, that they follow protocol, whether that be going to the police, escalating it for a welfare check, whether it be that they go back the following day or that same evening. Something has to continue. You can't just leave and forget. It is, of course, to honour Ethan, but we're doing this for any kid that needs it out there. And even though this is a very sad situation, maybe we can raise it up to be a positive in the end, and Ethan can save a load of other children out there that need it.
Ethan's grandparents, Michael and Kerry Ives, were found guilty of his murder and other offences after a trial at Mould Crown Court. They'll be sentenced next month along with their daughter Shannon, Ethan's mother, who was convicted of causing or allowing his death. By the time he died, Ethan had not been seen by a social worker for more than 3 weeks because excuses were given or nobody answered when they called.
Social workers have got absolutely no power whatsoever to enter somebody's home without permission. That's number one. The only people that can do that are the police, and only under certain circumstances. And secondly, social workers are there and should have passed that on to the police if there was that level of worry, that level of kind of concern for the child on that day. Absolutely no problem. I'm not sure the social workers would want the extra powers themselves.
Some believe all agencies involved in child protection across the country should review whether policies are suitable.
Ethan died, tragically. Questions must be asked about the protocol within Flintshire and wider within local authorities in Wales. and whether those are fit for purpose, whether they are suitable in this day and age, and whether they work and whether they're workable.
An online petition calling for more stringent protocols has attracted thousands of signatures. Flintshire Council says it's cooperating with an independent child practice review into Ethan's case led by the North Wales Safeguarding Board. The Welsh Government says it will ensure appropriate action is taken following the findings of that review.
That was Brendan Williams reporting there. A man who admitted sexually assaulting two girls aged 11 and 15 has been jailed for 23 months. Newport Crown Court was told Alex Dale's victims have been left scared and upset by the attacks, which happened within 2 days of each other last October. Colette Hume reports.
This is a sex offender. He's about to attack an 11-year-old girl on a path near a golf course in the Welsh capital. He tries to kiss her. After a struggle, he throws her to the ground. Her mother told the court her daughter worries about going outside now. A few minutes later, and he's running away from his second sex attack on a schoolgirl in 2 days. 32-year-old Alex Dale from Cardiff admitted carrying out both attacks last October. His first victim was a 15-year-old girl. She was travelling on a bus in Barry in the Vale of Glamorgan. It was 8:30 in the evening. She was wearing her school uniform. The court was told that he asked her for help with his mobile phone. She told him no. He sat next to her, pushing her into the window, and then he showed her a text message inviting her to take part in a sex act for £20. At the end of the text message, it read, "Don't tell anybody." In a statement, the girl told the court the experience has left her feeling scared and vulnerable. Dale stared straight ahead. He showed no emotion as he was sentenced by Judge Carl Harrison. He was given 16 months for inciting a child to engage in sexual activity, and he was given 7 months for sexually assaulting the 11-year-old girl. Because he has already served 10 months on remand, he will serve only a month in prison. He's also barred from any unauthorised contact with children aged under 18 for the next 10 years. The judge told him it was necessary to protect the public from harm.
Colette Hume reporting. Now, one of the FBI's most wanted men who was arrested at a property near Llanrwst in Conwy is to face a full extradition hearing later this month. Before his arrest last November, Daniel Andreas San Diego had been wanted in connection with bombings in San Francisco in 2003. The 46-year-old appeared at Westminster Magistrates Court via video link from Belmarsh Prison. His next appearance is on Monday. A joint investigation by police and the fire service will be carried out following a fire at a listed heritage site in Wrexham. The blaze began at the Berkshire Ironworks Centre last night, one of the earliest sites in the Industrial Revolution. 4 fire crews attended the scene at the historic building. Powys Council has agreed to fix a wall separating properties from the River Tower after heavy rain caused it to collapse in February. Despite initially denying responsibility, the council concluded that it does own the wall, which bridges the gap between the river and the homes in Ystrad. The council will make repairs, but will not replace the structure. A by-election for the Caerphilly Senedd constituency will take place on Thursday, the 23rd of October. The date was announced earlier today by the Senedd's presiding officer and follows the sudden death of the Labour politician Hefin David last month. Our political editor Gareth Lewis is in Caerphilly for us this evening, and in effect, campaigning is already underway there, Gareth.
Yeah, Jen, look, it's the by-election that nobody wanted. Hefin David was liked and respected across the political parties. That doesn't mean there won't be a fight, though. And as you say, that fight is underway. Plaid Cymru have named their candidate this afternoon. A familiar name, too, in these parts. Lindsay Whittle has had multiple attempts at Westminster and Senedd level to try and win Caerphilly. Labour hope to announce their candidate on the weekend. They say, the Welsh Conservatives say that their selection process will begin shortly. Now, with the caveats, don't read too much into a by-election, and it will use a different voting system to the Senedd election next year. Are there pointers that we can take for what might happen in May 2026? Well, back in 2021, Hefin David for Labour won comfortably, but since then the polls have narrowed. Labour struggling, those polls suggest. It's Plaid Cymru and Reform vying for first place next May. they would fancy their chances here. Privately, some in Labour acknowledge that they will have a real fight to hold on. Others point to the potential for a three-way fight. But I think, Jen, that in itself just shows how much things have changed.
And defeat for Labour would potentially cause problems for them. That was Gareth Lewis reporting there. Apologies for that. Obviously, we have a slight issue with the sound getting to Gareth there. Now, major changes are needed urgently to rebuild trust in the body responsible for promoting Welsh meat. That's according to an inquiry by Senedd members. The report calls for decisive action following what's described as internal turmoil and leadership challenges at Hybu Cig Cymru. Among the recommendations are a full review of the organisation's ownership by the Welsh Government, stronger industry representation and clearer targets. The Welsh Government says it's reviewing the report and will respond in due course.
One of the key recommendations we make is around ownership, whether it is fit and proper that the government continue to own it or the levy payers themselves own it, because obviously they're the ones paying the bills. Governance needs to be strengthened, the ownership question needs to be addressed, and above all, key targets need to be set so that that promotional activity can deliver returns back to the farm gate.
Bangor Cathedral is considering making more than 2/3 of its staff redundant. The BBC-produced Newyddion Esbydorec programme has seen documents sent to those affected, which say they will face disciplinary action if they discuss the plans. This development follows a turbulent period for the cathedral, as Gwyn Loader reports.
A song of protest by Bangor Cathedral Choir during last Sunday's communion. With rumours cathedral bosses are considering cutting 5.5 of 8 lay positions, the choir voiced their opposition with this song before leaving the service early. Joe Cooper is the cathedral's director of music. He says his working hours will be halved under current proposals.
I worry, I guess, that this is the end of my time here as director of music, and that is a great shame because it didn't need to be like this. If we could have actually worked together and discussed some things, we could have found a way forward.
It's been a turbulent period for the church in the Bangor area. In May this year, summaries of 2 critical reports were published highlighting financial weaknesses, drinking alcohol to excess and instances where sexual boundaries seemed blurred at the cathedral. Later that month, it was revealed a series of serious incident reports had been made to the Charity Commission regarding the cathedral, and that all new spending was to be frozen. By June, pressure was mounting on Archbishop of Wales Andy John, and on the last Friday of that month, he announced his immediate retirement from that position, before retiring as Bishop of Bangor at the end of August. With other jobs now under threat, there is still ill feeling at the cathedral. In a short statement, a cathedral spokesperson confirmed they had begun a consultation process regarding potential redundancies due to financial pressures. They say that relevant policies and procedures are being followed. We understand the financial pressure emanates from a few years ago when thousands of pounds were spent on new furniture, vestments and choir trips to Dublin and Rome.
The diocese is so much bigger as an organisation than the cathedral. In my opinion, they have more scope to cope with this financial shock and to look at a way of recovering those funds over a longer period of time.
You see items on the news when the people at the top receive consequences for what's happened, but I think it's important to remember that the real suffering and the real shame is when those employees at the very bottom have to bear the consequences and responsibilities for the failings of management and governance at higher levels.
This afternoon, sources in the choir forwarded a letter from the cathedral chapter stating all choir activities have been paused for an initial period of a month, following what it described as actions this Sunday. A cathedral spokesperson also confirmed Joe Cooper is currently away from work. A new dean begins her role at Bangor Cathedral next week. It seems she will also face challenges in moving forward after a difficult period.
That was Gwyn Loader reporting there. This is Wales Today, still to come on tonight's programme. We catch up with the Wales fans who've made the 3,000-mile journey to Kazakhstan for tomorrow's World Cup qualifier.
And there's more heavy rain and a risk of thunderstorms on the way later tonight and tomorrow morning. But Friday and Saturday look drier and a little warmer with some sunshine. I'll have the forecast for the end of the week.
More work needs to be done to coordinate the help that's available for veterans and their families. That's the message from one group in the Rhondda Valley that's seen demand for their services increase dramatically over the last 20 years. They say that by talking and listening, more lives can be saved. The Ministry of Defence has been asked to comment. Sarah Esilt has more.
On a wet and windy late summer's morning, there's a lifeline for veterans in Tonpentre.
For 22 years, I've been in a very, very, very dark place, and I suffer with post-traumatic stress disorder. Without these guys and without the help of others, I wouldn't be here. And I'm serious about that. I would not be here.
This is one of the best supports groups going. They boost your morale. If you're down, you come up here, you have a good laugh. I mean, talk about all the old boys, the boys that we've lost.
Valley Veterans started nearly a quarter of a century ago. Men would come together to discuss their problems over a cup of tea in the house. Now the organisation helps up to 100 veterans and their families every week, using equine therapy and gardening to help ease any troubles. And the need for their services is growing.
You won't believe how many youngsters I've lost that we didn't get involved quick enough, or we couldn't direct them to the right places. And over the last 20 odd years that I've seen people come and go, it just breaks my heart that we couldn't help them.
The organisation is working with Rhondda Cynon Taf Council and the NHS to expand the services they offer. But is there enough help out there?
It's not as much as we'd like, but it's growing and growing at the moment. We're not there yet, but we're well up there compared to a lot of parts of this country. We're so busy, but it's having the right people coming in and doing a good job, and that's where it needs. It's already out there, but it needs somebody to put it all together, like what I've done here.
In Tonpentre, the hard work continues, as do the efforts to save more lives.
Sarah Esilt reporting there, and if you've been affected by any issues raised in that report, you can visit the BBC's Action Line homepage for help and information. Now, a nurse from Caerphilly is using the skills she learned growing up on a farm in Africa to help set up a community allotment in Flintshire. Grace Luemba-Camwendo's love of growing vegetables has earned her the nickname Madam Topsoil. She's been working with Clwyd Alun Housing Association to help produce food for struggling families. Matthew Richards went down to the allotment to find out more.
Grace Luemba-Camwendo doesn't have to go very far to find something for dinner, just to the back garden of her home in Rhyl. She's been growing kale, cucumbers, tomatoes and other plants ever since she was a child in Malawi.
Before you go to school, you had to go in the field and do some gardening. So buying things like tomato, to me, it's new. Buying vegetables, I'm like, I shouldn't be buying this.
She's cooking up a feast from today's harvest for her husband and 3 children.
All the ingredients are coming from there. The only thing I just got from the shop is the okra.
The family call her Madam Topsoil. Such is her reputation for growing nutritious food, she's been sharing her skills with others. Grace's influence has steadily grown and grown. She was even instrumental in helping to establish this allotment for the community in, where else? Garden City in Flintshire.
She helped with all of the planning of it. She gave us all the ideas on what foods might work, specifically for trying to meet needs of other diverse communities, like multicultural communities that can sometimes struggle to get ingredients that might be more available in homeland and things like that.
Grace says anyone can follow her lead with the right ingredients.
This is really beautiful, Ben. Well done.
It's just a matter of a little bit of soil, a little bit of water, some sunshine and some seeds, something will come out. Everybody can do it.
This community allotment in Rhyl has also helped Grace learn new techniques as well as pass on some of her own.
So whereas we would plant pumpkins, you know, traditionally for Halloween, and we would use the fruit, well, she'll use the leaves, so none of the plants go to waste, and that's all what we're about. You know, we want to maximise what we have here and how we use it. And so where we show her what we do and then she shows us, we can transfer our skills, and then, yeah, it's a win-win in every way.
Working as a nurse and on the front line and through COVID, it's nice to get home and think about something. It's good to switch off. So if it's helping the community, I am very happy, very, very happy.
The benefits of growing your own are obvious. It's healthy and cost-effective. With more of us having to dig deep for the weekly shop, Grace's green fingers could inspire others to dig elsewhere.
To football now, and Wales's men resume their bid to qualify for next year's World Cup with a long journey to face Kazakhstan tomorrow. Craig Bellamy's side are second in their group midway through the campaign. 4 players, including centre-back Joe Rodon, have withdrawn from the squad for tomorrow's match. And David Pritchard is in Astana for us.
Kazakhstan is a huge country, the world's 9th largest by land area and spanning 2 continents. This is the furthest Wales's men have ever travelled for a qualifying match, but not even a round trip of more than 7,000 miles can keep Welsh fans away.
Without wanting to sound too ignorant, we had to pinpoint where Kazakhstan was on the map. But no, we've been to Baku and we've been to Yerevan. This is clearly the furthest away we've been. But yeah,
and it's the most difficult. It was an arduous journey.
Yeah.
We flew to Istanbul, and then we got an early morning flight to here. It's like 5 hours, but it felt like 50 hours.
Getting is the issue, but it looks a really interesting place in terms of its people are really, really friendly.
OK then, right. Welcome to Hopper.
Getting here by plane is arduous enough. Try doing it by train and bus. That is what one supporter's been doing over the past 5 weeks.
On the way, I've been through around 12 countries. I made the decision to travel overland because I had a little bit of time on my hands. I thought it would be more fun. And I thought Kazakhstan, it's as far and as exotic as we can get for a qualification game here in Wales.
I'm more uncomfortable than what North Macedonia were able to do. But the simple fact is North Macedonia came away with a win. Now we have to come away with a win as well. So that's all we're looking for.
Bellamy will be without Joe Rodon, Nathan Broadhead, Danny Ward and Jay De Silva following their withdrawals today due to injury. Tom King, Rhys Norrington-Davis and the uncapped Joel Colwill have been called up as replacements. They're a point behind North Macedonia, while Belgium are third, 3 points further back, but with 2 games in hand. Midway through the campaign, Welsh hopes of qualifying automatically for the World Cup are on a knife edge. Realistically, they need to win all 4 of their remaining games and hope that Belgium slip up more than once. So only a victory will do here in Kazakhstan tomorrow. Then it will be a very happy, albeit very long, journey home. David Pritchard, BBC Wales Today in Astana.
And just to let you know, the match will be live here on BBC One Wales and on iPlayer tomorrow. Kick-off earlier than usual at 3 in the afternoon. Commentary 2 on BBC Radio Wales and Radio Cymru. Cycling, and Geraint Thomas avoided any crashes to finish safely on a wet stage 2 of the Tour of Britain today. Thomas rode in 4 minutes behind the sprint finish in Suffolk. It's his final professional race, which finishes in his home city of Cardiff on Sunday. Dutch rider Olaf Koy won today's stage for a 2nd successive day. Right, time for a look at the weather forecast. And Derek is here. Derek, I think you mentioned thunderstorms earlier.
I did, yes, Jen. There is a Met Office warning of thunderstorms that comes into force tomorrow. Not everywhere will see them, but where they do occur, there is a risk of localised flooding, hail and gusty winds. The weather remains very changeable. This was the scene in Pontypridd earlier this afternoon, dull and wet there, and you can see the rain on today's radar picture. Some heavy downpours tracking eastwards, most of the lightning across the border in England. Drier and brighter across Wales this afternoon with a peppering of showers and a gusty wind as well. It did turn out quite nice in Aberdaron on the Llŷn Peninsula this afternoon. Some sunshine there and a fresh westerly breeze, the high around 18 Celsius. Still a few showers dotted around through this evening and overnight, 1 or 2 heavy ones. Some dry weather as well, clear spells, but then the next batch of heavy rain will reach the south and west late in the night. You may hear thunder with this. The wind gradually falling light after midnight with the lowest temperature around 9 Celsius in Newtown. So this trough of low pressure will move eastwards across southern Britain tomorrow. And here's that warning I mentioned from the Met Office. It's a yellow warning for a risk of thunderstorms. Where they do occur in this warning area, there's a risk of a lot of rain in a short space of time, hail and gusty winds as well. So there is more rain to come tomorrow morning. Some of this rain will be heavy and potentially thundery. However, it will gradually clear eastwards, leaving us with a drier and brighter afternoon with a mixture of broken clouds, some sunshine and scattered showers. Still 1 or 2 heavy showers. Temperatures around 16 to 19 Celsius and breezier in the afternoon. Tomorrow evening and overnight looking drier and clearer, bar 1 or 2 showers, and a cooler night, feeling autumnal. Temperatures dropping as low as 8 Celsius in Brecon and in Monmouth. Now, as we head into Friday, high pressure over France will drift towards Germany on Saturday, and the wind will turn more into the south or southeast. So on Friday and Saturday, it is looking much drier, bar the odd light shower in places. We'll see some sunshine, a little bit warmer as well, especially on Saturday. Breezier too on Saturday with a south to southeasterly breeze. Temperatures reaching 21 Celsius in Colwyn Bay. That's 70 Fahrenheit. Make the most of it though. It's all change again on Sunday, turning more unsettled and wet and windy at times next week. Jen.
Derek, thank you very much. And before we go, a reminder of today's top stories. The aunt of 2-year-old Ethan Ives Griffiths, who was murdered by his grandparents in Flintshire, says he was failed by social services. She's calling for more regular checks on children who are on the Child Protection Register. And a 31-year-old man has been jailed for 23 months after admitting sexually assaulting 2 girls aged 11 and 15. Newport Crown Court was told Alex Dale's victims have been left scared and upset by the attacks, which happened within 2 days of each other last October. And that is Wales Today. We'll be back at 10:30, but until then, from all of us on the programme, have a good evening. Hyfar. Bye-bye.